Hello everyone, welcome to our release webinar for QPR ProcessAnalyzer 2020.3. I've heard that this release finally has everything that we hope for, so personally I'm very excited for today's discussion. During the presentation, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the chat box and we go through them after the webinar. Don't forget to check out our upcoming webinars in our process mining use case series. The next one is process mining for digital transformation on Tuesday, 5th of May at 3 p.m. And the presenter today is Teemu. And hello, Teemu.
Hello, Jen. Nice to see you, and nice to see you, everybody else, also here in the webinar. Okay, let me get this started. Good. I think you can now see this PowerPoint. So let's start with the PowerPoint, and then after a while, well, let's go as soon as possible into the demo. Okay. So QPR ProcessAnalyzer 2020.3, and here is the list of the let me just check this here, the list of the new functionalities, like this one. So we have three big themes for today. We are announcing the robotic process automation charts, so RPA charts, and I'm very, very happy I can be showing you 7 different charts that give you a very good quick start to the RPA and automation projects. Then big area number 2 is the statistical calculations. We have added a totally new functionality into ProcessAnalyzer, which makes it very easy to do statistical calculations like the cumulative charts and the difference charts, this period compared to the other period, and all other possible statistical calculations. And then the third big area, advanced security hardening options. So we have been introducing those regularly in each of the releases, but this time we are going to a little bit like tell about the current set of the security hardening options. And this is of course something that in each release we are updating the security if there are any new standards or so on. So interesting topics. Let's get started. And here are the key topics again. Let's get started with the RPA charts. So the thing over here is that now with the new ProcessAnalyzer 2020.3, we are delivering a new set of presets, and in this time it's going to be a use case specific presets. Our previous presets charts, which are of course available, and there are a couple of nice improvements there as well, include a lot of charts for general process mining. But now we have these specifically tuned charts for RPA, and I'm happy to go through these. And let's start with the automation rate trend, which is saying that what is our end-to-end automation rate today and how is it improving, up or down. Then we move into the opportunity scouts, which tasks should be automated next, and so on. This text is more or less taken from the QPR blog, the release blog. So if you want, you can also check the blog article over here, which has the text and these charts, and also the screenshot illustrations, which you can click and see the full picture and so on. So they are already there. So you can already after this webinar go and see the details over there. But now let's jump into the demo part. So I want to demo this RPA chart feature right away. So let's get into the ProcessAnalyzer. Let's maximize the window, and let me take, this is for example the new grouping for the presets. Like you remember this process analyzer chart view presets. So now we have this grouping that the general presets are here, duration and time trend related general charts are here, process flow related bottleneck flows and path kind of analysis here, root cause analysis and the clustering predicted AI charts are here, and then some administrative reports, user user activity and scripts and all that kind of stuff. There are actually a couple of nice additions over there as well. They are in the administrator reports. And now today we will be looking at the use case RPA. So this is the area. This comes directly from the package. And as you see, we have a purchase to pay model over here in the background, process mining model. We can see more of the details happening and less of the details. So shopping carts are being created, purchase order items are being created. And now this is a normal chart view. So let's chart with the automation rate trend, as the blog article also says. So this is the nice trend that is showing you the percentage of your automation rate as a percentage of all the events. So let's say here in the January 2019, 47% of your events in this P2P purchase to pay end-to-end process have been performed by the automated means. And it's kind of the high value over here. And then we have been dropping down, and this is like some kind of a smaller amount that is kind of in a future as well. But this is like the ongoing trend, and with the blue color we can see the total event count, which is visible in this axis. So with this chart you easily get the understanding of where is your automation rate going on. And as this is a chart view, it can be fine-tuned. You can add more dimensions and more functionality into this. Okay, but it works just like this. You just open a click automation rate trend, and it asks you to select the event level attribute that contains the information whether this is automated or bot or manual activity, and that's the only requirement for these charts. So we move into the automation opportunity scout. So which tasks should be automated next? That's the typical question in RPA. So let's open the automation opportunity scout. And as we see, we have a chart showing with the bubble is the amount of the manual activities. So bubble size is telling that how big is the potential for the automation, and the percentage over here is the rate for the manual work. So these are completely or almost completely performed manually. This is completely performed or almost completely performed automatically, and then these are somewhere in between. So from this chart we can see the big bubbles being the candidates for the process automation, and then we can see that okay, if one activity has already been automated to the 60% or 40% level, how could we get the ratio for the manual work even down so that the automation gets even better? Or do we need to start up automating a totally new activity? And if we do, then which activity should it be? For example, the shopping cart created, could that be automated? Or is there some other quality inspection, other kind of activity that we could be doing? So automation opportunity scout gives you overview access to all your activities and lets you to see where you could automate next. Then automation per event types goes into even more detail. It gives you the transparency of who is actually doing the work in your organization. And let me show you how it looks like. Automation per event types. So this preset displays you that who is doing the work, and as you see, the blue color is the automated, so the system automation is creating the events to your ERP system, and the green bars are the bots. So RPA project is running under the name of a bot user who is doing those steps in these particular event types. And then we have the dark blue bars for the manual activities. And we also have a couple of activities for which we do not know who has been doing it. So this is a typical situation in your organization. So here we can see that, for example, the invoice receipt is mostly performed manually, and then there's a bit of some cases where the receipt is recorded automatically, and there is no bots at the moment. Oh well, there is, but it's very, very small, minor area. So bots are kind of coming also to this activity. And as said, this can be further customized, and we can add some dimensions, and this can be viewed by the purchasing organization or region or whatever it is that we want to extend these presets. So this is the automation per event types. Let's move forward. Manual activities per case. Okay, this is a nice one. So once your automation project is going forward, you will be looking at the touchless rate, like how many cases, end-to-end cases, you can process completely without manual intervention. So what are the cases that have completely been processed without manual activities? And in this example data, we have 0.2% of the cases going through the whole process without any and manual activities. But here in the 1 manual activity, 2 manual activity, 3 manual or events, it can be the same activity happening several times. Here we have a big categories displaying that here we are already doing very well, only 1 manual activity, and here a little bit more. So this is an overview to your touchless rate kind of thinking. And now the question, of course, obviously here is that how many times you need to push the ball forward in order to make a goal. Can you make the goal completely automatically, or do you need to toss the ball like 5 times or 4 times before you can make a goal? All right, so this introduces the topic of how many manual activities per case. Another question is, what is the effect of those manual activities? So the case duration against the manual activities is showing precisely that. So case duration against the manual activities is a preset where we see the manual activities. In the previous chart, it was limited only to these top 5, so 0 to 4. But in the model itself, in this chart, we see that there's a much more activities, much more manual activities. So some of the cases are taking up to 16 or 18, 19, 79 cases are taking 19 manual activities. You need 19 times push the ball forward in order to complete. And when you look at the time needed, the total lead time for that end-to-end process, we are talking about 100 days going here, and these cases in the upper right corner taking close to 200 days of calendar time to be completed. And here you see that if you have only 1 manual activity, then the average duration for those cases is 79.4. So this kind of chart very quickly tells you that as you move forward with the automation, those cases that you really can automate, they will be handled much faster. But you need to pay your attention that if you automate cases so that they only take 4 steps, then what are these cases taking more than 4, like 14 steps? Well, if your automation is not working very well, you may think that your cases are being done in 4 steps, but there may be customer complaints or whatever bottlenecks, rework, extraordinary situations. And although in theory it should be done in 4 days, you end up having a lot of those extra activities. And that's the whole point of process mining together with RPA, so that you can have the whole process in control and see what is the real effect of your task level RPA automation or the general more higher level process automation. So this is saying the relationship between the manual activities and the durations. let's move on. Manual activity details is a chart which is showing more or less the same information as it was here, but in a more detailed tabular format. So now we are looking at not only the amount of the events, but separately for each particular event type. So these are the cases where you have one manual activity, and then here we have the case amount of the cases and the duration separately for each of those manual activities. And here are the combinations of two manual activities. For example, you may have a combination where the goods received has been recorded manually and invoice received has been recorded manually. And there are 179 cases where these are the only two manual activities, and the average duration 125 days. So this gives you a good understanding of what kind of combinations there exist in your data, and which are the ones that are causing the longest lead times. That was the manual activities details, and then finally even more details, even more analysis, and this tends to go into the area where we will be doing some, or the customers will be doing themselves some customizations, their own KPIs. But let's go to the cost savings by automation chart. So this is the chart number 7 for the RPA use case, and here we see the potential cost savings based on the faster lead times due to the automation. So now we are checking that if the invoice received, which is now here the activity that we are going to automate, if we can automate that, then if this invoice received happens after the invoice document date, then if it's being done automated, those cases, the average is 19 hours. And if it's being done manually, it's 164 hours. And now looking at the difference, if we can improve these flows, where there are 16,243 flows, where the invoice receipt takes place after this, if we can improve them from this manual time to the automated time, we are going to save a lot of time. And now we just put the activity cost per hour, and we get a 23 million euro saving potential. And if we can of course change this our activity cost per hour and take into account even more further details, like if I just, let's say that we have only €1 as the activity cost. Of course, we are dropping 1 decimal over there. So this is now showing the how many hours of lead time will be saved as a total. So this tool, together with further customization, helps you to find those areas where your organization has the biggest potential savings. Okay. This was the quick start to RPA using ProcessAnalyzer 2020.3. And as you know, all of these are further customized. You can always go here to the measures. You can see how they have been built. You can go on here. Some of them are using the custom expressions. Some of them are using the events with specific event attribute values. All of this can be changed and further customized to meet your needs. But these are the presets that give you the jump start. So if you have any questions about these, please feel free to write into the chat area, and I will be very happy to answer that after this sort of the official part of the webinar. But now let's go back to the slides and jump to the topic number 2, statistical calculations. Alrighty, this is an area where you can add more depth and accuracy into your process mining analysis. So you can add operations such as calculating the cumulative values, moving averages, trend charts, change from the previous value, and so on. And the other thing is that you can focus the chart content to relevant findings, removing outliers, null values, insignificant values, too small, large values, and so on. So all of this is now being done with the statistical calculations. And the full list of those statistical calculations are these 15 operations. So these are all available, and without further questions, let me show you how they work in the demo. And first, just a quick look from the blog article where you see the statistical calculations, some of the benefit text, and some of the nice screenshots that we are going to be recreating right away. So this is the product. Let's start, for example, with a very simple cases by start time, which is showing us the case count, and then the dimension is the time. And actually, I'm going to change this to be duration. So let's see, duration on the weekly level. And yep, let's take the on-screen settings away. So this is the nice simple starting point, cases that complete within a certain amount of weeks. So let's add a cumulative figure over here. This is the case count. Let's add another case count and say to this second case count that, hey, instead of having the normal, I want to have a cumulative values. So there you go. The green bars are showing the cumulative values, where the blue ones are showing the actual values, how many cases fall into this histogram slot. And now this can further be said that, okay, let me show it as a percentage of all cases. Now it goes nicely to the 100%. And we have a nice chart here. And if you prefer the line chart, we can easily go here and apply that. And now we have a nice chart showing the values and the cumulative value trend. Okay, this is how simple it is to use the statistical calculations. The other thing we can do here is that we can see how to use this limiting. So removing insignificant values. Let's put some values over here. And okay, a little bit more, maybe a little bit less than that. So now we took something from the beginning and end. So we are still seeing the chart, but it doesn't have the small values in the beginning or the very small values in the end. So we have a limit in this chart. Okay, this was how to limit the amount that is visible over here. And now this is showing the cumulative values. We can as well change this to be, for example, let's say we can see the case count, but we can see some kind of a smooth chart using the moving average of 3 data points, and it will be there. But let me change the dimension first to the case start and end. So, okay, now we have it over here. And now let me go here. And as you see, I have the smoothing on, but I still have the cumulative values on. So actually, I don't want to have the cumulative value chart. So now this is like the smoothing in place. So the smoothing starts, or let's say rolling average or moving average. So it starts with the same number over here. And now when you see that when we are getting more data, it kind of follows the curve over here. Okay, and actually we have probably still this dimension removing insignificant values if we take that to the full smoothing. Okay, all right. So here you see the options that can be used, and you can. I encourage you to use these these options removing makes the charts more readable, more to the point, and then the cumulative values and changes from the previous value, they give you the analysis of showing the same data in a different ways to communicate your point. Like this is now the green graph is showing that are we going up or down in this particular trend. Okay, this is the statistical calculations, and you can combine these statistical calculations so that you can have multiple statistical calculations in one. And as is visible here in the blog article, sorry, here in the blog, there's also a possibility, like there's a 5 charts added. There's a normal case count, then there's a change in the case count, the bars, moving average for 6 periods, multiply the case count by 3, and then the case count summing, moving sum by 6 periods. And that was yellow was a moving average. So you can look at the details of those as well. Okay, time is running. We have one major area to cover, advanced security hardening. And it's good to know ProcessAnalyzer meets the strict security requirements of the large customers. And that is true both for the QPR cloud environments as for the on-premise deployments. So for the clouds, we of course configure adequately the security options. For the on-premise, it's good for you and your administrative and system responsible persons to apply those security hardening options that you wish. Here is a list. So what we have available to you are listed over here. So first of all, the secure strings. That is an option that you should be using for making secure connections and integrations with your ERP systems. Let me show from the blog. From the blog, you see the text over here. So secure, so ETL scripts, SAP, ODBC passwords, all that kind of information is possible to store with the secure strings, so that the passwords are not visible to other users of the system. Then improved single sign-on authentication. So if you are logging to QPR ProcessAnalyzer with a dedicated ProcessAnalyzer password, please consider talking with your organization admin people and integrate to your domain controller so that you can use your normal Windows username and password. That works perfectly in both the cloud environments with the federated authentication and also in the on-premise using federated or LDAP kind of authentication. So you can just use your own login details. You don't need to have a separate ProcessAnalyzer password. That is our recommendation. Then there are 5 other things that go more into the area of the system setup and deployment, how to basically ensure that the old standards and old security policies are taken away from the use so that you only use the newest ones. That's a good way to go if your systems and infrastructure supports that. For example, file name creation, there's no reason to have this setting on. We are not a legacy software that needs these short file name creations. We operate with the full file names, so this can be taken away. And the weak cipher encryption algorithms should be taken away. We don't need those. We can use the new ones. And as soon as your organization has taken the sort of is ready for the new standards, we have the new standards in our product already, so you can just take the new ones into use and stop using the old ones. Okay, that was the security hardening options, and in the wiki there are links to the corresponding pages in our documentation. And now Process Analyzer 20.4. So do we actually have Olli?
Yes, I'm here also.
Yes.
On the line.
Super.
Finally managed to join after some troubles. But
Welcome,
yes.
welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I can continue with the
Yes.
new features. Actually, first of all, I could answer one question we got there. So, the question is, will we be able to make our own presets there? So, well, yes, that is a very good idea. So, okay, currently it's not possible. So the presets there are only those out of the box ones. But yeah, perhaps that is a good would be good functionality that you could save the charts as your own named presets, and then they could be available there in the list, so that when you, for example, create a new dashboard, then you can easily take your own presets into use. But all right, let's see when we'll have that. Probably I'm not able to promise it to the next release yet. But all right, let's see the next release. So the dashboarding use case is one of the most important we have there, and we will further improve that. So thus far we have had this. Well, you could easily create simple dashboards there, but we will make the functionality much more versatile, and we could talk about process mining applications there. So containing several dashboards, and where you can, well, first of all, navigate easily between the dashboards. So the application is consists of the navigation as well, and then of course having URL links to actually access the application. And okay, then user selections are important there. So the dashboards are not just static ones, but you can select, for example, region or company code or time frame where you drill down your data and so on. So those selectors can be added to the dashboard for users to easily access them, and then the selections then affect all the charts that there are in the dashboard. And also the selections are following when you then move navigate between the dashboards there in your process mining application. But all right, we will have a versatile functionality that you can build your own process mining applications there. And then last point is regarding the expression language there. So okay, Process Analyzer uses this expression language in the back end to make the actual calculations, and actually all the charts there and calculations, measures and dimensions, they use this expression language in the back end. Usually if you find your KPIs and dimensions from the ready-made ones, then you don't need to write the expressions, but when you need something more customized ones, then you can, well, very smoothly move to for example, start from a standard KPI and then convert it to custom expression and make a small adjustments there for your needs. And all right, so we will improve the expression language. First of all, there will be array operations available. Those are very important, especially in the machine learning functionality, because there are a lot of those lists and so on, which need to be manipulated there. Also, other use case is accessing the events data. So there will be several of these kind of helper functions that make it much easier to calculate things from the event data. So for example, how many events there are in a case, then the order of certain types of events and so on. Those are very important things that are usually the process mining related KPIs are consisting of those kind of calculations. So we'll add more functions to make those writing the custom expressions easier. But all right, the next release will be out in the end of May, and yeah, it will contain all these nice new functionalities.
Okay, thank you very much, Olli. And was there again something about, were you about to say something, or do we go to the questions?
Yeah. Well, let's go to the question first then. I will.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, there are a couple of questions. One question is that what is a bot? So in the automation scenario that I was going through, there was the division of the events being performed by manually by the humans, or then automatically as a system automation. So a lot of events are created automatically within the IT systems without anybody doing anything. They are like a outcome of something being done manually, then at the same time maybe 5 events can be done automatically. And the bot is something that can be done either manually by a human or then by a separate RPA bot running in under the separate user account, which is kind of copying, replicating the steps that humans would normally be doing in the user interface. So that kind of information is relatively easy to get from the ERP systems, the bot accounts, and it is an easy way to show how your robotic process automation projects are going on. So it is based on the information of who did the particular activity. Very good question. So then I think there is maybe a question for Olli. There is this the preset kind of comments, but then there is this Excel client related comment that there are still is there still some operations that are being done in the Excel client for setting the user rights or for the process mining model management?
Yeah, so we are strongly building the new functionality, of course, on top of the web client, but still there are some advanced administrator functionality that need the Excel client. So basically, the user rights management is still in the Excel client, and then if you need to write a script that need the Excel client. And some part of for example, if you need to manage the data tables, that is in the Excel client. But for example, managing models, that is well, almost all the model management functionality is also in the web UI. So you can create new models, modify their settings, move the models between projects, and then delete the models, and yeah, of course, import data to models. So all that functionality is in the web. And okay, there is also a question: what is the time schedule? So well, it is in the roadmap, but I'm not able to give the exact date when we can get rid of the Excel client. But that is the plan in the roadmap, so that all the process analyzer functionality is in web, and in future process analyzer is fully web-based tool.
Yeah. And coming to the point that I was mentioning in the security hardening options, this user rights management for new users in the enterprise organizations, as we strongly suggest to use the integrated user authentication that is linking the user management with your own domain user accounts. Then once you have the groups in place, you may not need to do so much in the process analyzer side, because the new users will be given the credentials based on the properties that are there in your own user user registries. So it should be integrated into your own premises once you start to have a lot of users. Okay, but yes. And then there was this one question that how to see which version is active. Okay, I can actually demonstrate. I think.
Yeah, that is easily seen
yeah.
in the web UI.
Yes.
So please show it.
Yes. So now I go to the process analyzer, and I'm just a bit lost with all these screens open, but I think that I just go here into the tool and then user account. So here with this navigation menu, the option user account is telling me which groups I belong and giving the global roles, global permissions, and also the QPR ProcessAnalyzer version that is running here. This is also the place to change the password. And as you see, the user account information is of course available for the web client and as a web service available, but some of the things are still being done outside. So this is the version we are using at the moment. Was this correct, Olli?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I think we are done. Is there, Jen, something you want to say?
Thank you everyone for joining our webinar today, and thank you for your questions and comments, and we look forward to seeing you in our next webinar. And you can find the presentation slides and recording of this webinar on our blog post on QPR Blog after today. And if you have any questions, please email to marketing@qpr.com. And thank you, and see you next time. Thank you everyone.
Thank you.
See you.
Thank you everybody.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.